So Bonnie, tell me how you got involved with Science Club for Girls and what makes this different about other STEM programs?
Well, I was really drawn to the relationships between the girls, the young girls, and the adult women mentors, and the power of role modeling, and really the community that's created for the girls and as well, and the mentors themselves. A lot of women who work in STEM still in 2022 work in isolation. And it's really important to create systems and support networks for the youth as well as the adults involved in STEM.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that drew me to the organization, and I became a board member and board chair, and then became the executive director.
So it's personal for you.
It's very personal and passionate. I mean, when I came up through science, all women were underrepresented. And I really felt by the time I had gotten to a certain point in my career that I wanted to use my resources to really increase access and inclusivity for those who are the most underrepresented in STEM.
That's amazing.
So at Science Club, we are all about really addressing systemic inequities around gender, race, and socioeconomic factors in STEM, and our programming reflects that. So some of the ways that Science Club for Girls differentiates itself from other STEM programs is that our programs are free, they are experiential, and they really focus on mentoring and relationships. So Science Club is really one of the originals, if not the original, in girl-specific programming around STEM and mentoring that focuses on underrepresented communities. Last year, we expanded our mission to include gender-expansive youth. And we provide a continuum of programming from kindergarten through 12th grade that is about, STEM content to be sure, but really in the context of social emotional learning and focus on relationships. That's really at the heart of everything we do.
That's really expansive.
Yeah. It is, and because of these relationships, families stay with our organization for large chunks of time. So families stay with us 4, 8, even 13 years is not uncommon. And so, when you think about it, what have any of us really done for 13 years in our lives, right?
I know, yeah. It's great that everybody stays in touch and it continues on and there's no expiration date.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah. It's really, as our alums say, it's a way of life. It's a community, and oftentimes it's the one constant in a girl's life. We can also think about it in terms of the impact on society, how we all benefit from making a long-term investment, say of 13 years, in a girl's STEM education. We all reap the benefits from that as well. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love to share a quote from one of our alums that speaks to that.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So Kaylin Brown joined Science Club for Girls when she was 6 years old and continued through high school graduation, and then went on to be a mentor when she was in college at Harvard and in grad school at Oxford. And she shares that being surrounded by curious girls and passionate women who also looked like me kept me excited about science, my future, and my potential. I rarely questioned my goal of becoming a Black neuroscientist because I had already met one in Science Club, and for that, I'm forever grateful. So that really speaks to the longevity of the relationships and what we're all about. During the pandemic, we made a very successful transition to the virtual platform. And we were all about maintaining the environment that we had in person in the virtual space. And that's a focus on hands-on experiential learning. And one of the ways we did that was a very important way we did it is to create kits for all of the participants and all the mentors. So we have this quite extensive operations around assembling and distributing kits so that the participants and the mentors can do the activities together, because it's really important for the girls to see women STEM mentors in action and create an environment where it's very trusting and safe, where girls and gender expansive youth can make mistakes, explore, take risks, really have failure not be a scary thing, but show that it's integral to the process. And, really the social emotional part is about focusing on the journey and not be so fixated on the result.
Yes, and it's so amazing that you were able to pivot during the pandemic and create a system that's still so helpful during the virtual years that we've been experiencing.
You bring up a really good point, because there were so many opportunities to be had when we made the transition to virtual learning. We ended up having a tremendous response to this, and the interest has only continued to grow, and we have a large demand. And so we've been expanding to meet that demand, and as we've been expanding, our wait list has been expanding as well.
Good and bad news.
Right. And the great thing is we have so many wonderful partnerships like that we have recently started with the built environment community, and we're really grateful for that. And that allows us to keep our programs free, and we are about really, increasing access in every possible way. So we focus on having programs that are fun, engaging, social, and relevant to girls' lives. And we have found that when we have programs that are like that, girls and gender expansive youth will be clamoring and knocking down doors to get to these opportunities.
Well, it sounds like they are.
Yeah, exactly. And, we are happy to engage our extended ecosystem in this with, again, the mentors are just such an integral part. And, part of our theory of change is that we expose girls to STEM. They gain skills, and in gaining skills, they gain confidence in STEM, and they start thinking of themselves as STEM people, have a STEM identity, and then see a future for themselves in STEM through their interactions with the women mentors.
Well, I really love what you said about your organization being an ecosystem. And us in the design community would love to be part of that. So how can we support Science Club for Girls and help to make a difference?
Well, that's a great question, and I love that because it speaks to also meeting the demand of the wait list, right? So one of the strategies of being a part of making learning inclusive and more equitable goes back to access and exposure. And one of the common misconceptions about underrepresentation in STEM is that it's due to a lack of interest, or, as crazy as it sounds, a lack of aptitude. And that really couldn't be further from the truth. We have young women and gender expansive youth who are passionate about STEM. And really, it's about, again, exposure and access. We make our programming free. We also really look at every meaning of access. So we make our programs logistically and physically accessible by, when they are in person, holding them at convenient locations that are where families naturally convene, like schools, community centers, even churches, libraries. And then the virtual sphere has really just, exploded. Our families have told us that they want this to continue beyond the pandemic. It has allowed us to engage more families from underrepresented communities. Right now, we have over 110 schools represented through our students.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really quite striking, right? And we last year expanded to accommodate our wait list by 40%. To serve 350 participants per semester, only to have the wait list grow to over 320 by the end of the school year.
A lot of girls waiting to get on this list.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we are planning to expand by another 40%. But again, we really appreciate partnerships and hoping to deepen partnerships to keep our programs free to those who need them the most. And I think that the built environment, like other sectors of the STEM economy, have begun to realize that, to have more diverse teams and workforces, that they can no longer just go to high school students and college students and expect to find a ready-made pool of diverse applicants, that either those pools weren't there to begin with, or have dropped off because of the many off-ramps to, especially girls of color's trajectory to higher education and careers in STEM. So we really need to invest earlier and make long-term investments. And, even middle school is too late. And studies have shown that as early as second grade, can you believe it?
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, boys and girls by second grade have already internalized negative stereotypes around who does better in math and science. So we start early in kindergarten to avoid them taking in, these harmful notions.
that's amazing.
Yeah. So because of that, we really rely on partners like your sector. And, we to really address this significant need at a systemic level, we hope to engage leaders from your community to be leaders with organizations like ours, on boards, committees, to also advocate and get the word out about the importance of these issues and making STEM learning more accessible. To help us build this pipeline that comes from long-term investment that I was speaking of. And, of course, funding is important, but also meaningful volunteering opportunities. One-off opportunities have their place, but we really appreciate it when partners think about who they're ultimately serving, in addition to having an enriching experience for their team.
If, for example, I wanted to become a mentor, would that be locally or nationally? What do you see is the most effective way to, engage a mentor and a student?
We engage mentors both in person and virtually, but we are mainly focused right now in the greater Boston area. We do group mentoring. Our foundational programs focus on the Science Club, which is a small group of girls and gender expansive youth, about 8 to 12 participants in size, organized by age, that have 2 to 3 adult mentors and a couple of junior mentors who are our high school students. And each semester we focus on a different STEM discipline. And because it goes over a semester, our mentors really form relationships with the young girls as well as the high school girls. We have this great tiered mentoring model. And our mentors stay with us for long periods of time too. We have no requirement that they do that, but the adults really get invested in watching a young person get excited, how different people come out of their shell, and it's about having a lot of fun together. We deal with a lot of serious and critical issues in our organization, but we do it from a place of positivity. right? And so it's all about exploring the joy and wonder of science, the power of it. And our work, we think is a really productive way to move the needle forward on a lot of these issues.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it sounds so rewarding, and I'm really excited for our community to get more involved with your program.
And we look forward to it too. We've really just appreciated your enthusiasm and support, and we hope to deepen it as we work on that wait list and create your future candidates and really.
That's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, we are creating your future workforce, and really look forward to. We appreciate how you are invested in what we think is really important, bringing diverse perspectives to the proverbial STEM table. I think after the last couple of years that we've had, we can really appreciate how we need to have more robust solutions to these problems that are increasingly STEM-based and really impact all of us. So.
Yes, absolutely. And we're ready to get to work. So thank you so much, Bonnie. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate your time and your involvement.